latitudes, their important features and important latitudes. The shape of the earth. Our earth is like a sphere. It does not have a top or bottom. It does not have sides and corners. So our earth is basically spherical in shape or like a ball. It does not have any top or bottom, and it also does not have any sides and corners. To locate places on earth, certain reference points and lines have been defined on its surface. These reference points and lines are North Pole and South Pole, latitudes and longitudes. North Pole and South Pole. The earth rotates on its axis. The two endpoints of this imaginary axis of rotation are called poles. The top end point is called the North Pole. The bottom end point is called the South Pole. So, as we all know that the earth rotates on its axis. Axis is an imaginary line passing through the center of the earth which joins the two endpoints of the earth, the North Pole and the South Pole. Equator. There is an imaginary line drawn midway between the two poles. It is called equator. So we can see an imaginary line running in the middle of the globe, all along the globe, and this line divides the earth into two equal parts. The part of the earth above the equator is called the northern hemisphere, and the part of the earth below the equator is called the southern hemisphere. Latitudes. Latitudes are also known as parallels. Why parallels? Because these lines are parallel to each other, or they are equidistant. That means the distance between these lines remains the same. So these lines never meet each other. So latitudes are also known as parallels. They are circles drawn horizontally between North Pole and South Pole. So these latitudes are horizontal lines which run along the globe, and they are drawn between North Pole and South Pole. Latitudes are parallel to each other. They are labeled in degrees. There are 180 lines of latitude on Earth. 90 latitudes in the northern hemisphere and 90 latitudes in the southern hemisphere. The length of latitudes decreases as we move from equator towards the poles. See, equator is the largest latitude, and the length of these latitudes go on decreasing as we move from the equator towards either of the poles. Features of latitudes. All latitudes run parallel to each other. Equator is the longest latitude. It is also called the Great Circle. So, equator is the longest latitude. It is also called Great Circle. So, what is the other name of equator? Great Circle. All parallels to the north of equator are called north latitudes, and the parallels to the south of equator are called south latitudes. Now, as I have told you that there are 180 lines of latitude, 90 in the northern hemisphere and 90 in the southern hemisphere. But out of these 180 lines of latitude, some important lines of latitude are equator 0 degree latitude, Tropic of Cancer 23.5 degree north latitude, Tropic of Capricorn 23.5 degree south latitude, Arctic Circle 66.5 degree north latitude, Antarctic Circle 66.5 degree south latitude, North Pole 90 degree north latitude, South Pole 90 degree south.